Welcome to Homeward. I'm Jim Burns. And can I just say that I am very excited to have Tim Timmons on the podcast today. You know, I've been looking forward to this podcast for a very long time. Tim and I are going to take an imaginary walk around his life. You know, he goes on walks regularly in Franklin, Tennessee with his friends, and he talks about it in his book. And so we're both kind of semi in studios, and this is going to be an imaginary walk, but we're going to take this walk because he says walks are good to open up and talk about important things. That's what we're going to do. There is no doubt in my mind that Tim Timmons is one of the most incredible, inspiring people I know. I mean that with all of my heart. I have known this kid since he was 5 years old. He had cute, chubby cheeks, by the way, back then. And when you're in the presence of Tim, you feel like an honored special guest, and there was no one else in the room. I've said that about him behind his back for years, so I might as well say it in front of him. Today, we're talking about a book that he wrote called Waking Up Again, A Journey of Grief and Gratitude. And if you're watching the YouTube channel, then you get to see that. It actually brought tears to my eyes on page 9. And it was a very emotional book for me because I love this man so much. His wonderful wife, Hillary, also wrote chapters in the book, and maybe she should be a writer because she did a great job as well. Last month, I watched Tim perform in an arena in San Diego, California with thousands of people with Mercy Me and Big Daddy Weave. And the month before, I watched an incredible movie that's called I Can Only Imagine 2, which is partly, well, mainly about his life. I cried, I laughed, I love the movie. And if you haven't seen the movie, watch it. If you are ready to read a great book, then go and purchase his book. I bought it on Amazon, actually. Tim is married to the lovely Hillary. They have 4 children, and of course, they live in Franklin, Tennessee. Tim is an amazing Grammy-nominated songwriter, singer. He has a wonderful podcast called 10,000 Minutes. I highly recommend that you join that podcast, subscribe it. Tim, my friend, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, I'm going to have you do that one more time. Say that again, and I'm going to record it just for my morning wake up. That's going to be just the beginning of my day. Will be you with your voice saying all those cool things. I'm like, remember, Tim? Remember? Yeah. So, wonderful. I get to see this on my calendar, and I got very excited about this. So,
very cool. You've got a very busy calendar, and I saw on social media that you're done with a major tour, that you did the one that I saw with Mercy Me and Big Daddy Weave, etc.
Yep.
And you were great at it too. You were just great.
Thank you. Yeah, we finished the first part of that, and then we'll go have the second half of that. A little bit of a different iteration will be in the fall.
Yay!
So yeah. So I'm It's what a crazy season the Timmons family are in.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, the Timmons family has been in a crazy season since I met you, to be honest.
Yes. That is a true statement. Even after reading that book, I'm sure it's like, look at that. Yeah.
I'm talking about this walk, and I just want to throw out questions to you. But interesting enough, in your adult life, you know, a major part of your adult life kind of centers around a rare incurable cancer that you have. But you called in the book cancer a gift. And I want to know what you mean by that, because I call it suffering. You called it a gift.
Yeah. I mean, I've got many words for cancer that I don't know if it's safe for the whole family on this podcast. So I hate cancer. I mean, I'm flying back to Orange County tomorrow to bury one of my bestest friends in the world, Mark McKinley. And one of my longest friends. It's just so stupid. Cancer is so stupid.
Yeah.
And so I have no love for cancer. Yet the gift of cancer in my journey so far, and by the way, cancer is not my story. It's the worst story I have. My cancer is seeing Jesus at work in the midst of it. Like, that's my story. And I was given 5 years to live 25 years ago now. There are tumors still on my liver, wearing out my heart, they say. And I got to wake up again today. And I think the gift of cancer is sobriety. The gift of any sorrow is sobriety. And it's whether that's alcohol or drugs. I'm just more talking like heart life sobriety of what matters, what actually matters. And how do I just become a little bit more sober this year than I was last year, just to what's actually happening in the world. And because I'm a follower of Jesus, I get more excited about being more sober to what he's up to
Mhm.
versus what I think he should be up to, which
Mhm.
a good portion of my life, it was like, God, this is what you should do for your kingdom's sake. You
Mhm.
should do this and this and this.
Yeah.
And at some point, I just got so exhausted by telling him what he needed to do that it was like, or I just join him in the cool things that he's doing. So that's kind of the posture of my heart now as I say cancer, the gift of cancer is sobriety and perspective.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I mean, that makes sense. We see that with so many different people who have something. It could be some kind
Yeah.
of a trauma, some kind of
Yep.
suffering or whatever. And they go, no, it was actually a gift and I'm closer to God because of it. And it's made you much more focused, but yet at the same time, you're still a really fun guy. And I think sometimes people would think that if you were sober with
Yeah.
cancer, that you wouldn't be fun. And you're more fun loving today than you were before. And you were fun loving when you were that chubby
Yeah.
kid.
Well, I had a lot to love at that
Yeah.
point. I mean, being a chubby, husky
I just said
kid.
chubby cheeks. I didn't say
Yeah,
anything about
yeah, yeah. No, trust me. It was all over. Yeah, I mean, I think I have more actual joy
Hmm.
than I've ever had. I mean,
Yeah,
I
that's
would
good.
say I have more fruit of the Spirit of God than I've ever
Hmm.
had in my life.
Yeah.
And that is not a flex. Like, you know what I've
No,
done?
no.
I've read these books, I've done these quiet times. Like, I
Yeah.
did all those things actually, and they got me almost nowhere.
Yeah.
So, yeah, which is a bigger part to the story. But yeah, I think I woke up again today, and today is about the only gift that I am um s- uh um not thankful for. Thankful for so many gifts, but it's the gift that I think is the most
Yeah.
powerful gift in my
Yeah.
journey so far. It's just I got another day. So I write this little X on
Yeah.
my wrist every
Sure.
morning, and which I'm sure we'll talk about. But I got another day.
Yeah.
So man, if I get tomorrow, giddy up. Let's do that. But today is
Yeah.
the gift that God has given.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. 10,000 minutes. That's a big deal to you. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, I so I was a part of Mariners Church and Saddleback Church up there or over there in the Orange counties,
Mhm.
and which were such great experiences,
Yeah.
so great in so many ways. Yet I think at some point I God kind of pushed me out of those places. And again, nothing against those places. It was just
Sure.
more, even just the posture of my heart in those
Mhm.
places that I could do all those amazing things for God, but totally miss Jesus in the process,
Mhm.
miss the Spirit of God in the process. You know, remember Dallas Willard wrote about um, if if how would you know if the Spirit of God wasn't a part of your gatherings, would you know it or not?
Mm.
And I just took that a step further, like in my own life. Would I actually know if the Spirit of God
Mm.
was at work in me or
Mm.
not? Like I could talk about it, I could look like it,
Mm.
but is the Spirit and the presence of God like actually at work here?
Yeah.
And I think it's a valid question just to be curious about, not to go, man, I'm lame, I'm horrible, or man, I'm really awesome. There's a plenty of the Spirit of God. That means I'm awesome. It's more just a curious question of,
Yeah.
what would that look like? So for me, looking at, I had spent all my time, all of my energy, almost all of my resource on the an 80-minute gathering of the church.
Mm.
Um, I mean, it's getting that service ready, it's getting the songs ready, it's how are we getting people to this gathering place, which is awesome. But I remember the day that I left Mariners, I that weekend I went and led worship at a place called Hume Lake, and the pastor, he wasn't really making a big deal about it. He just talked about that there are 10,080 minutes in a week, and I was like, oh my gosh, that number's wild to think. I just spent my past 15 years full time paid, but even before that, just pointing people to the 80 minutes that we gather every week, the 10,080.
Mm.
And I thought, man, life hits hard in the 10,000 minutes. That's
Mm.
when the stuff hits the fan, is in the 10,000 minutes. I keep telling people, come to church. You know, I'm doing that in air quotes if you're listening. This is where you meet God. Come to church in air quotes. This is where you can know more about Him.
Mm.
I mean, just in on and on and on and on. This is where we worship, is here at church. And these are all fine things. I just think it's a really small story.
Yeah.
And at some point, it hit me that I've just spent my whole life and all my resources. And as I look at the church as a whole, we spend so many resources on financial and time and all that stuff on those 80 minutes.
80 minutes.
And I get to bless those 80 minutes and say, man, that's so great. Yet there are 10,000 other minutes until we gather again.
Yeah.
What's it look like if we were to join Jesus in the 10,000 minutes? And I kind of think I'm going to get a little, you could erase this if you need or cut it out. But I think actually, as I get older and I look, and I've traveled the country so many times now, oh, yeah, so many times over, that I see our gatherings, and man, do we get lathered up and all excited and sing the
Mhm.
fire out of these songs. Like, praise God. This is so great. God, you're so good. I really kind of am getting closer to the idea that I think God's kind of like, man, I don't need all this. I don't need all your songs. I actually don't need you guys to get all lathered up and learn the now Greek word for this thing. If you're not actually blessing your enemies,
Mm.
if you guys aren't the people who are generous in how the world becomes better because you guys are in it,
Yeah.
I kind of don't need your songs. I
Yeah.
don't need your awesome messages.
Mm.
If we're not going to actually like join me and represent me in this world and be the actual blessers that we were created to be, then I kind of don't need it.
Yeah.
So
No,
I'm looking at myself going, Tim, that's to you as well. Like,
yeah, sure.
so anyways, that's kind of the 10,000
Well,
minutes
that's
for,
kind
so
of
for
what the
me,
Bible talks about.
I think
You know.
so.
Sure.
I got a little distracted, I think, in doing the thing. And
Yeah.
I don't have enough days to do that thing
Yeah.
anymore. I
No, a
want
lot of
to
us.
be the church and
Yeah, exactly. A lot of us focus on those 80 minutes, and we don't focus on the 10,000 other
yeah.
minutes that are also key. When you were growing up, as we continue our little walk here, you were really a charming kid. I mean, you could talk to adults at 5. Who does that? But you could. I remember being in your home, and I was the youth pastor at your dad's church,
Yes.
and I go, "Who is this kid? He's like better than his dad is at being a people person."
Uh,
But you were a great kid. You had 2 sisters who mostly adored you.
yes.
Your dad was a well-known pastor in a wonderful church,
Yeah.
and your mom. I mean, I love you, but I love your mom more. She's the most amazing woman
Valid.
next to Mother Mary.
Yeah.
Uh, Truly, just a great person. But
Yes.
in your book, you had a phrase, and it happened when you were 13, and it said "first sorrow."
Mm.
What was that about?
Yeah. I mean, we're all still unpacking our first sorrows
Yeah,
in our early sorrows in some way,
yeah,
and those shaped us. My dad, I'd had such a great, growing up. The only hard part about my growing up was I wore husky pants, because I was, chunky cheeks were both cheeks, all sets of cheeks.
four cheeks is what you're
Yeah,
saying.
yeah, 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 yeah.
I didn't pay any
Yeah.
attention to the
I
other
maybe
two
had
cheeks.
more
I'll just
cheeks than
say.
that. Let's be real honest. And I was just, life was amazing.
Yeah.
And I loved growing up in the church, especially the way that you guys were all trying to figure out a new way to,
Mhm. Yeah, we were.
you know, be the church and
Mhm.
do church in those days. And my dad, I remember we were sat down on our, you know, whatever little couch in the shag carpet, the whole deal. And I thought we were getting a puppy. It was a family meeting, and I remember my folks saying we're getting separated, and here's what's happening. And so my dad had, kind of got in trouble in some ways, and man, it just came out of nowhere for me. And then we ended up moving into a little apartment, from riches to rags in a sense.
Mhm. Yeah.
This little apartment where just my mom and I are living, and man, that was just a rough, rough season. Um, Watching all that stuff go down and trying to go, do we have enough? Can we have bread? Do we have enough money for bread? And my mom went to work at this little like Hallmarky kind of store
Mm.
in Newport Beach, like in the nicest part of Newport Beach. She she had a friend that kind of, I guess, owned this Hallmarky store, And so my mom, who's like the coolest, is all of a sudden working at this little shop.
Yeah.
It was just like this wild season. And one of those things as well, that I hate divorce, I hate separation, I hate all these things. It's just,
Yeah.
it's not the way it was created. And yet, God,
Mhm.
man, did he shape me in those
Yeah.
times. And
Yeah.
I hate it. And I'm also sitting here saying, God, thank you for your gift of shaping
Yeah.
with all
Well,
the
you know,
people in my life.
right. And you even use the word manure happens. By the way, I may steal that because that's really good.
Please do. Please do.
But you have a chapter called Manure Happens. And what you're saying is manure happens even in good families, and manure happens in bad families, and just manure happens. And it's how
Yeah.
we learn is sometimes the manure that's thrown at us.
Yeah, I was teaching. I was asked to teach the worst weekend ever, Jimmy. You know this better than anybody. It's the weekend after Christmas, and it's like we're gonna have the kids in there, we're gonna have the grandparents in there, everybody's in here, and
Yeah.
it's the worst because you're trying to talk to kids and adults, and neither of them are happy.
Right.
And so I was teaching on the four soils of the heart, that Jesus, one of his parables, and I was trying to figure out what that meant. And obviously, I'm not from an agrarian society. And I remember looking up the different soils, and the soils, as we know, aren't like you're going to heaven, you're not going to heaven. He would throw a
Right.
seed on the different paths, so different paths,
Right.
different soils, and the soils was like the contents of our heart. And I'm like, what makes good soil then?
Hmm.
And I remember reading up on all the stuff. Manure kept coming up, and I'm like, huh, manure is good soil. Okay, great. I've smelled it before. And I started looking at it, and the first definition of manure was the softening agent for hardened soil. So if the heart is the soil, I mean, just think about our hearts in the midst of hard things. Like the softening agents to our hardened hearts is
Wow.
manure. It's the
Yeah.
crap. It's the smelly stuff that nobody wants around them.
So good.
Yet, what if God actually
No.
uses the manure to
No.
grow us into these
No.
beautiful things?
No, I love that. It's a great way of taking a look at that. So you've said we kind of refer you kind of referred to this, but we didn't really go there. You when you're going through a tough time, even back then, but even now, and with cancer and everything else, you have centered around yourself some amazing people. I mean, they are mentors and they are peer support and they are people that you're mentoring. Um, you use the word aimers.
Yeah.
Basically, you've developed an amazing community in your life. And part of that is because you are so good to these people. But yeah, these people are all around you. Talk about what you've learned from community.
Yeah. Gosh, that was one of my favorite chapters to write, was on all the people that have
Yeah.
aimed me. And I love the word aiming versus
Oh, I love it.
mentoring. It
No, I loved it.
it, it it's the idea is that I've had so many people um who have aimed me in the direction that I was created to be,
Yeah.
to do the things I was created to do, not just to be like them.
Mhm.
Like a Doug Fields, right?
Right.
And
He
he
says hello. I texted him 5 minutes before we went on with this podcast. He's in Hawaii. He's suffering in Hawaii.
whatever on that guy. No, but I mean that guy, uh and so many other people, they aimed me. They didn't make me like them. They were like, God has made you into
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
great. And whether
Yeah.
that's great as in like you're supposed to talk to millions of people, or just you're going to be a great dad. But
Right.
it's
Right.
aiming, like pointing and helping point each other in these directions.
Yeah.
And I know that he's still hurt that you didn't go to his high school graduation.
He will
Um
listen to this podcast and laugh.
yeah. So I mean, I just know that from years that he's talked about that, and I don't want to be the first person to bring that up, but I feel like
Right.
it's the right thing that
Yeah.
I mean, he
Thanks
came
for
to
bringing
mind,
that up.
and
Thanks
he
for
really
bringing that up.
supported me a lot. But I know
Our
that that was a
producer Mike
big,
can cut things out, and I'll just tell you right
yeah,
now that may
yeah. It was just painful. So we don't need to go further on that.
oh, that's
As a
good.
friend of him and you, I just feel like
Yeah.
I get to care front
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
But aimers is so important. Like a
Yeah.
guy like Doug, like you. I mean, all these people that have aimed me,
Mhm.
and they came into my life in the midst of really hard seasons. And
Yeah.
the walks that I know you and I are on right now, we're literally on
Yeah.
a digital walk.
Right.
My walks are the point of my walks in the
Mm.
mornings with guys is, it's most of the days it's mutual aiming.
Yeah.
Some people would call it
Yeah.
mutual discipleship. I look at all the guys that have shaped me, and I get to
Yeah.
shape, like, at the same time. We're
Yeah.
encouraging each other. Like, what a gift to develop a community like that. And
Right.
God put that in my story, and then I've just tried to keep that going.
No, it's great. And we all need community, and people will do so much better when they are in community. I say to people, because and you know, every one of the guys I'm with, I'm in a small group, 25
Yeah,
years now. And I'm a better husband and a better father and a better Christ follower because I hang out with those guys.
totally.
I look at them almost as more aimers, mentors. They look at it as more peer support, interestingly enough. But for me, I just have learned, sometimes I'll go, what would Rod do in this situation?
Mm,
Instead of what would Jesus do? Because
yeah,
Rod loves Jesus too, and I can learn from the hands and the arms and the mouthpiece of my
yeah.
friends. And so
Yep,
that
so good.
that is so good. Hey, we're gonna have to take a quick break on this walk. We'll be right back. We're gonna we'll be right back. Remember, all things Tim Timmons are in our podcast notes. His book, if you're on the YouTube channel, you get to see a cool picture of him and the book. About the movie that was mainly about him, an amazing movie. I can only imagine too. 10,000 Minutes podcast and his amazing music. By the way, my wife, Kathy, loves Tim Timmons. And so we were actually at Hume Lake. He mentioned Hume Lake, and somehow Tim gave us a CD. Some of you may not know what a CD is, but it's
Yes.
this round disc that you can play music on. And Kathy just wore the thing out, and we played it in our car, and we played it in our car. And then one day we got a new car, and she goes, "But what am I going to do with the Tim Timmons? I need the Tim Timmons
Go.
CD." And I said, "Kathy, there's an amazing thing. It's called the internet. He
Yeah.
actually is also on digitally." And so her first purchase, internet purchase, was a Tim Timmons CD, early
Mm.
on Tim Timmons CD. And so, yeah, do we know Tim Timmons music? Anyway, we'll be right back. Don't go away. I'm Jim Burns. Parenting doesn't stop when your child turns 18. If anything, it gets harder and more complicated. When the relationship breaks down, when they walk away from the faith you raised them in, and every conversation feels like a fight, you need more than advice. You need hope. When Your Adult Child Strays, Trading Heartache for Hope is the book I wish every parent had. Find it anywhere books are sold. Welcome back. We're kind of walking with Tim Timmons, or actually the title of his book and the title of my podcast today is Waking Up Again, A Journey of Grief and Gratitude. And that's what we're talking through as we deal with this. Tim, you mentioned this at the very beginning, and I've always been intrigued by this. How many years have you had the X on your arm? I was going to put one on mine, and then I thought, I didn't look as good. I have too hairy of arms. How many years have you every morning woken up and put an X on your wrist? And why do you do that? What's that all about?
Yeah. So I started writing that probably about 15 years ago. And it was just, we get good at what we practice. That is just a known
Yeah.
fact. We get good at what we practice. And I remember reading the scripture where Jesus says, "Whoever hears my words and puts them into practice, basically all week long, is wise." If you do this, it's like building a house on a rock, which is so wise. And I just thought, man, I'm awesome at being a varsity American Christian, but putting the heart of Jesus into my actual week, I don't know if I'm great at that. Like, somebody cuts me off on the road and I have other things to show them. Yet the gift of Jesus, that I would be the gift and the representer of Jesus in the world, would be for me to actually pray blessing for that person,
Mm-hmm.
which is just so different, right? That's not how my normal natural desires would be. So the X used to stand for the Christ years ago, and
Mm-hmm.
I wanted something instead of like a cross or like an ichthus or like a
Yeah.
fish or something. I
Right.
just wanted my own little reminder that when I write this in the morning, I wake up and I say, Jesus, I shouldn't be alive another day, but you woke me up again.
Yeah.
Whether it's a hard day or a good day, you woke me up, so I'm going to join you today. I don't have to
Yeah.
work for you ever again, Jesus. I'm just going to join you today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what do you have? So that was kind of the start of that, was like,
Yeah.
I just want to get good at joining Jesus.
Yeah. And it's kind of the theme of waking up again, that you wake up, you do that.
Yeah.
And, I love that you do that. I think that is so key. Now, so let's talk about the movie. I mean, I don't know if you're tired about talking about the movie or
Ah,
not, but the movie was pretty remarkable for me. And I'd heard you talk about it ahead of time, and
Yeah.
I saw the guy that played you, Milo. He's like all good looking and stuff.
Yes.
But it was really when I watched the movie, and I saw your story, and I was focused on you and the story. And some of those things I didn't know. I didn't know the story of you joining Mercy Me on a tour and then getting sick in the middle of it and having to leave. And then you come back to Red Rocks, you and Hillary, not to sing because you're
Yeah.
too sick, but actually to be there. You know, I'm bawling like a baby. But what was it like to watch a movie about you with a really good looking guy playing you?
Yeah, well, I mean that it's not a joke. I mean, he is very good looking, and I
Yeah.
am not. So it is definitely. I felt good about my life.
Yeah.
I've taken a lot of pictures trying to emulate his mouth. Um, can't figure out the hair part yet, but we're doing great. Yeah, I mean, what an honor. You don't wake up in the morning going, you know what I think we should do? We should have a movie about my life. Well, if you do, we have got different issues. Um, I just years ago when I started writing this X on my wrist, one of the things, so I quit working for Jesus 15 years ago. I don't work for him and never will again. It's the worst thing in the world I've ever done is worked for God. So I quit working for him and I just join him in my days. And the other part to this is that I also don't open doors anymore. I used to try to
Mhm.
uh, get something that I want, even if it was like, you know what, God, I think what we can really do for your kingdom is X, Y, or Z. And I'm going to kind of schmooze my way because I think this is the best thing for you and for your name, God, is if I do this thing.
Mhm.
And I was just exhausted. And so when I just quit working for God, I said, I will never work for you again, nor will I open any door ever again in my life. So if you think something's best for your kingdom because you're the king of your kingdom and seek first the kingdom of God, not mine, if you know something's best, then why don't you open that door? If it's for me just to work at Starbucks or whatever, I will do that. Like if that's what's the best thing for your kingdom, then you open those doors and I'm done telling you what you need to do. And I apparently you know more than I do. So for me, it took these years of even doing that, even in some ways living in a a piece of obscurity, which I know sounds crazy because I'm still an artist and I still tour but I just my stuff wasn't hitting like I would say, God, if we were together, if you really want to
Mhm.
do something cool with me, this is what you do.
Yeah.
And had to kind of come to this place of saying, God, I'm surrendering, not just surrendering, but actually finding contentment in just joining you in whatever you open.
Hmm.
And so it was really kind of a beautiful season for me
Hmm.
to not have any singles hit the radio. Nothing like that was working for a long time. Um, it's just kind of like living in obscurity in a way. And man, what a gift that my kingdom I was practicing n- surrendering, but even finding contentment,
Hmm.
joy
Hmm.
in whatever he opened.
Hmm.
So then for this movie and for a book and for new music and for even the song, Even If to hit so hard,
Yeah.
those were God opening doors. And I've just said, Jesus, you open doors. I don't have to do that. So then there's a movie about my life, and I just sit back and go, man, how fun.
Yeah.
How fun. And next year, if nobody could even give a rip about Tim Timmons next year. And man, okay, great. I get to go on walks with people, and Jesus, you're going to provide in some way.
Yeah.
And I get to join you. And I feel like my life has been this experiment. Hillary and I have
Hmm.
almost been on an experiment for the past 15 years of like,
Hmm.
what if we're dumb enough to trust that God knows what he's doing?
Yeah. And that's something.
And look, I mean, not that everybody's gonna have a movie about their lives, but like I feel like I'm dumb enough to try it. And my life, I have more joy and fruit of the spirit, whether I have a movie about me or not.
Yeah.
And man, that's the joy really in all of this.
And that's a great lesson. I mean, it's a lesson for you, but it's also a lesson for all of us. You know, I mean, I look at this podcast, 98 plus countries and thousands of people, and I look at it as
Awesome.
kind of my little congregation. And I go, I want them to hear that because I want them to understand that on whatever level it hits their life.
Yeah,
They're not
yeah,
musicians. Most of the people who are listening to this are moms and dads who love
yeah,
their kids. They're trying to
yeah,
figure it out.
yeah.
It's not easy. But that message is such a key and critical message. Now, we're getting toward the end of our little walk here because of time, but you mentioned the song even if
Yeah.
and I love that song. I didn't even know you had anything to do with it when I first heard it, by the way, so I wasn't impressed with you because I
Yeah.
went, I just like the song.
Yeah.
We started singing it in church. And, it's kind of, I get it. It's Grammy nominated award. It's, Dove Awards, all these kind of things. But what's the story behind that song? Because that song, in every generation, there are only a few songs that have amazing, words that we remember. And I mean, all the way back to hymns, I'm sure. So I see that song as kind of a song of surrender, at least for me. It's a song of surrender. And, it's kind of what I want to know is what's the story behind the story for you?
Yeah, for me, so a girl named Crystal Lewis
Yeah.
brought me this verse idea years ago. We were writing something for her, and this song idea, and it resonated so hard with me because I'd just done this word study on the word hope,
Hmm.
and hope has always been what God can do for me. I hope He heals me. I hope He helps my kid. I hope He does X, Y, Z. And biblical hope doesn't seem to be that. Like it has an element of that, but biblical hope seems to be just Jesus alone. Like He is my hope no matter what happens. So it's like that being like the foundation of hope, then I can say, I hope He does this. But ultimately, my contentment is found and joy is found in Him just being my hope, period. And so then I can say, whatever happens, God, you're my hope. So Crystal and I had started the song, and she didn't want it for her record, and my record label said it's not that good of a song. I'm like, you guys are crazy. The song is so good. But I got it, and it was like, I don't work for God, nor do I open doors. So I just let that go. And it was in this studio right here that song was kind of dead in the water. And so I had the sense that the song was for one of my best friends, Bart Millard from the band Mercy Me, and he was sitting right behind me. And he came in just so frustrated about an appointment he had just had with his son with diabetes. And for me, this was out of some of my cancer appointments that just were rough, just so rough. And getting to a place where I had to find contentment at the base of my surrender, even. And so he was in here, and I had the sense that the song was for him, but I would never say, hey, buddy, I think you should do this song. Because it's just that I would rather be your friend than try to get something out of you. And so, anyways, he said the chorus of this song almost verbatim. He had never heard the song before and said it almost verbatim. And I sat there going, this is so crazy. And so I ended up sending him just the chorus because that was a part that I knew was really powerful. And we ended up rewriting the song together. And then we're, like in a few days, we wrote the song. And then we're sitting at the Grammys going, how cool is this? God, you know what you're doing. And then there's a movie about it now. It's just like, man, joining Him is way more fun than working for Him.
No, that's really cool. It's a great lesson on this walk of ours. Unfortunately, the walk is almost finished. So our walk is pretty much done. But I want to ask one last question. What question should I have asked you to help our listeners get to know you better and to know about your passion for life that maybe I missed? Is there anything along the way that you'd want to add?
Yeah, maybe it would have been, what practices do you practice? What practices have shaped you? In 10,000 minutes, with my 10,000 minutes community, one of the things that we do is we're putting things into practice. Most of us are pretty fat on content. And we know all the Greek words for all the things. We can get all this content. But what I love, what you've done, all of your whole ministry is like made things really practical. And I think practice is really important. So for me, one of the practices that I do in my own story, as I write this X on my wrist, that every morning I wake up and say, Jesus, you woke me up again. I'm going to join you today. But part of my practice of joining Him, one of them, is I breathe in, Jesus. I breathe out, you have my attention. So whoever you are, just practice it. Breathe in, Jesus, Jesus. Breathe out, you have my attention. And just if you think about what that would do to the posture of your heart every day, if that was the posture of our heart, and then as a collective, if we were saying, Jesus, you have our attention, what could happen in your home, in your car, in your family, at work, in the world? So that would be my encouragement, and maybe just something to practice and see what He has to say.
Do you know that I did that today? It's in your book, so people should go get the book because you actually have words in there that you use for that. And I did that today. That's crazy. So good. Thank you, Tim. Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Of course.
And by the way, all
Thanks
things
for
Tim
having me on,
Timmons-
Jim.
Sure. All things Tim Timmons are in our show notes. And as you can tell, I love this man, and I just believe in his message. I believe in who he is, and he just kind of rubs off on you, don't you? I want to go on that walk sometime in Franklin. He's never invited me, or I'd go. But I want to go on that walk sometime and see where they go when they talk about it. That's a beautiful area as well. Listen, if you're a regular listener to the Homeward Podcast, or you watch us on the YouTube channel, then you know that I often close the podcast with some of my own thoughts. Not today. What I'd like to do is close by listening to Tim sing part of that beautiful song, Even If. So thanks for listening. It's been a great day of inspiration. It was exactly what I'd hoped it would be. Here's Tim. Enjoy.
They say sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some. Right now, I'm losing bad. Stood on the stage night after night, reminding the broken it'll be alright. But right now, oh, right now, I just can't. It's easy to sing when there's nothing to bring me down. What will I say when I'm held to the flame like I am right now? I know you're able and I know you can. See through the fire with your mighty hand. But even if you don't, my hope is you alone. I know the sorrow and I know the hurt, but I'll go with you, just say the word. But even if you don't, my hope is you alone. They say it only takes